Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Good to see you all. We're ready for our podcast today, and we have a special guest. We have Rhuantavan, the creator of Call of Saregnar, and a fan of games such as Betrayal at Krondor. So I hope you're all looking forward to this and ready to have a chat. I'm going to bring Rhuantavan on now, and we'll get started with our conversation. Thank you very much for your patience. Here we are. Welcome in, Rhuantavan. Good to see you. I'm going to unmute you. You may have to unmute you on your end too. I don't know. But hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
It worked. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Excellent to have you. So, can you just give us a quick introduction of yourself? Give a little bit of background to bring people up to speed quickly on where you're from and
Sure.
Saregnar and stuff like that.
My name is Damjan Zetic. I come from Slovenia, which is a little country in the middle of Europe. 2 million people live in it, so really small country. And yeah, I've been doing all sorts of things, but my primary thing is probably just this game, which is Call of Saregnar, an RPG inspired by Betrayal at Krondor, which is a classic from the early 90s. And yeah, I've been working about 7 years on it.
Wow.
But yeah, much longer in my head. So probably since Krondor came out, I wanted to create something like it. So,
gee, ever since Krondor came out, this is something that you've been wanting to do?
Since elementary school, I had ideas for my own RPG, and you just need to gather some skills before you can handle something like this. So yeah, it took years to get me there. Yeah.
A massive project. So I guess like from my introduction to you was like, I think I was playing Betrayal at Krondor on stream, and it's a game that I had played when I was a kid, and I just never finished it because I always got like distracted by my own imagination running around and playing like in the world of Midkemia, which was like Raymond E. Feist was like my favorite author at the time. So it was just a mind-blowing experience to be able to run around in that world. And so I never really sat down and like played through the full plot and finished the game. I was just got distracted along the way doing other stuff. But then I was like, I'm gonna finally sit down and finish this game, and so I did, and I got introduced to you very quickly. I don't remember if you dropped in or if like you happened to swing by or what happened, but yeah, somehow.
I'm pretty sure I religiously followed every stream containing the keywords Betrayal at Krondor. So yeah. that's how I happened to found you.
So we have a lot of people in the chat as well, so hopefully they'll come up with some questions and stuff for you as well while we're chatting. But I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you about, which you already touched on, is like what made you decide to do this? So you were already thinking about this like as a elementary school student. You were like, I want to make my own Betrayal at Krondor. How did you get introduced to Betrayal at Krondor? Was it just a game that you happened to pick up, or what?
Oh, that's an interesting story. I mean, could be interesting, I guess. There was a Slovenian magazine that just came out. I think it was one of the early issues. I just read the review there. It sounded so magical, you know. I mean, later I found out it was so full of errors.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah, so many things that. I mean, it was just not things not being named correctly, but also stuff that's not actually in the game and so on. But those couple of black and white screenshots inspired me to just to find that game. The problem was that our country back then, it was really hard to find original games. So piracy was very much the thing back in the day. Yeah.
So like
we had the occasional.
The home computing scene in Slovenia at the time was more like get what you can from your friends and piracy, or.
Yeah, I mean, years prior to when, to the 90s. I mean, in the late 80s, it was all black markets with copied cassettes for various. Commodore was very big at the time. The Commodore 64, and maybe the Spectrum too. So yeah, it was massively copied and reproduced, and you got those catalogs from pirates, paper, also those copied many times over.
Like, were you paying for the pirated software? Like, if they're generating a catalog, was that something that they were doing?
I mean, of course, they were making money out of it. So you paid. Generally, the game was expensive as the number of diskettes it came on. So the more discs, the more expensive the game. So we basically paid for the copy and for the media, right, and the shipment for the shipping. So yeah, this is how I basically ordered Betrayal at Condor the first time. I got my 6 discs, I think there are 6.
Right.
The last one was bad. It had errors on it, so yeah, I ordered again. The disc came back, also bad.
Oh no!
And third time it was finally the charm. I get to install it, but I think no longer after I found an original OEM copy. You know, just the manual, a map, and the CD-ROM from a company here, and so I got those. And I got the box much later.
So you found the box like online, like on eBay or something?
I mean, I bought the whole game online. I think it was eBay. I'm pretty sure it was eBay back in the day. Now I have you know, lots of boxes, German editions, CD-ROM editions, diskette editions, and yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, we had pirated copy of it as well when I was a kid. Actually, a friend of mine owned the game, and he said, "I'll burn you a copy of the CD." So I was like, "Okay, sounds awesome." I didn't even know how to burn a CD at the time.
But I'm guessing you didn't have you know, pirates making money out of it. It was just friends making copies, and
there was a certain amount of piracy. If you go to a certain marketplace, like actual marketplaces, like people would be selling pirated software and stuff. But mostly it was like piracy was mostly just like people like, I'm gonna make a copy of this game for you that probably somebody else gave them a copy of it, right? So we tried to buy shareware CDs and stuff like that as much as possible. But like, yeah, full copies of games were kind of hard to come by for us. Like, they were in stores where we lived, but we couldn't afford them, so we would often go for the shareware or the pirated version of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky that I'm living close to Italy, to the border. It's about 15 kilometers to Gorizia, which is basically the first city on the border, and there were shops there, computer shops, that they would carry some original titles. And back in the day, they were actually still in English. They were not translated to Italian. So this is where I got. I think the first game I actually bought was Ultima Underworld 2.
Really?
Yeah, I still got that box. I could not part with it. And I probably got maybe 2-3 more games from there. And
Ultima
same
Underworld
with
2 was the first one that you played?
Yep, I did not play the first one. I never even finished the first one. I played it much later.
Right. I think when I first saw Ultima Underworld and stuff like that, it was like way later. So yeah, that definitely was not like, I still haven't played Underworld 2. I only played Underworld 1 for the first time recently. I think you might have popped in a couple of times while I was streaming it. But yeah, I don't know, like somehow I missed it, but I played System Shock, like, so I still don't really understand how I missed the Ultima series. It was a mystery.
Yeah. It was a big series.
A huge franchise.
It happens. I mean, I love the second part more than the first. I don't think it's just because it's the first one I played, but it's more refined. It's got a deeper story, you know, more worlds. The graphics are a bit more realistic. Less cartoony than the first. It just feels better to me, but yeah, still the first one. It's something I need to play through one day.
You still haven't played through the first one?
Nope, maybe just the first 2 levels.
I wonder if there's like, so Underworld 2 has like, I'm just looking at some screenshots here, and I'm noticing like a few big differences, like the amount of space that the screen is rendered to is much larger.
Yeah, it's larger,
yeah, and it looks
like
it
was problematic to render it back then. It was still quite an impressive game. And
it also looks like the enemy sprites may be higher resolution and stuff like that too.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe not, but they do look crisper somehow, so...
just better. I think
Better production value.
Rendered better. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a nice looking game. I'm looking forward to playing it. Apparently, it like follows on after the second part of Ultima 7. So
yeah, it's right after smashing the Black Gate. It's
right.
actually told in the intro, in the story, I think.
So I think I'm gonna have to go back and play through like the full-on experience of like Ultima Underworld, the Ultima series before I get to Ultima Underworld 2. But apparently, like Ultima Underworld itself was felt fairly standalone as an adventure when I played through it, and people had told me, yeah, it's basically not connected to the rest of the Ultima series. It's got a few loose references, and that's about it. So I'm glad I played it.
Yeah, it's weird because for me Ultima was Underworld, not the actual Ultimas.
Yeah.
So I got into Ultimas much later. So yeah.
That's actually pretty funny. I also just remembered I need to pause all of my notifications here, so I'm going to try and do that. The user interface is being annoying. Give me a second while I deal with the UI. But I wanted to ask you actually, like, I don't want to dive straight into like just talking about Call of Saregnar, because I know there's a lot more to you than just Call of Saregnar. But with that being said, one of the things I would like to ask you about is like the production, because like I know based on playing like you know, Betrayal at Krondor and dipping my toes into Betrayal in Antara, or Betrayal in Antara.
In Antara,
yeah. There's like an aesthetic that they've gone with, like of like taking photographs of people and then putting them into the game world, and like, you know, the first game has like a bunch of different like different antagonistic characters and ghosts, and it's got your party members, and there's like what I think there's 5 different party members you end up with through the course of the game. There's a good question in the chat which I'll ask in a minute, but I wanted to ask about like what's your approach to this, because you're like kind of reverse engineering like what they must have done back in the 90s to produce these digitized assets, and then you're putting them into your game. Like you're creating your own ones. So like, is there like, how did you? Was it hard to figure that stuff out, or just like wing it and the first time it just worked perfectly? Like, how did that happen?
Not really. Not really. It was not that hard, I think. I started with some simple tests, you know, taking a photo of my wife and trying to put it in and seeing which software works for removing, for the keying software, not for removing the background.
Right.
Stuff like that. And then I thought about, you know, where to place the lightning, what happens if you go underground, how will the light change from the above ground, because, you know, I've been thinking, what am I going to do? I was afraid of what would I do, you know, if the characters, you met a character in the sunlight outside, and what if you met the same one perhaps indoors? What would happen? So I had to find some balance between how to place the lights, how to illuminate the characters, so just in a way so it could be it could work everywhere. And it was not a problem at all.
Oh really?
Okay. No, not a problem. I just figured out, you know, just the basics. Have one side of the face lit a bit more than the other, and that's it.
That's it. That's all you need.
I mean, you have a lot of lights, right? You got I got 4 front-facing lights, 1 hair light, which is basically a light that you place above and behind you, the subject. And then you got the green screen. You need to illuminate the green screen separately by placing 2 additional big lights that only illuminate the green screen, so you don't get that spill onto the person of that green color, which is also problematic.
And are you recording video clips, or are you just taking photographs for this?
No, it's just photos.
So if you want to animate a character, you have to like take each photo.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is basically 8 sides. I mean, I will do 8 sides from now on, but I used to do 6 because I was only thinking about combat, and it was a hex grid, right?
Yes.
But you can rotate the camera around. It's still fixed to the 6 sides. It basically moves along those 6 sides. It's not just a flip, you know, but you can still face the character from the front facing you and from the back, depending on how he is oriented and where is your camera.
Of course,
which is not just 6 sides, it's 8. Because the 6 are left, right, then all the diagonals, and then the two remaining are the front and back, which makes 8.
So you've got 8 directions, even though they're on a hex grid.
Yeah, you need 8 directions.
Why is that? I'm trying to think of
why. It's simply, you know, you had a grid. Then depending on how you face it, if you got the bottom and the top of the hexagon parallel to the screen, to the camera, then the characters that you took the photo and you never took the front and the back of him, he would either face a bit to you know, to one side or a bit to the right side. You never have to face it front and back. There are actually 8 sides that you need.
Okay.
I mean, I could skip the left and right and do the front and back instead. But then the same situation would occur. If he would stand on the hex and face to the right or left, I would not have that view on the character.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting.
And I did not figure out this until I implemented the combat and the hex camera, which then I mean I did not take so many photos up to now, so I still have a lot of production to do. So.
And did you, when you shot those photos, like, I suppose you have a specific setup that you're like trying to replicate the lighting for each character that you shoot. How much, like, there must be a lot of assets and stuff like that. You're keeping track of that. Like, how would you say you've got all the photos you need for this, or are you still working on that?
Yeah, I mean, I made a big list before, a spreadsheet basically for each character. Each character has, you know, I have those. First, I need the dialogue photos, which are basically just front facing, usually waist up, and those are more detailed, and they have basically a set of all the possible human expressions.
Wow.
From being angry to being sad to hate, you know, all those possible emotions. So that's about, I don't know, 10, 12 photos, right?
Amazing.
I mean, I've also been taking the same shots with eyes closed and eyes open, and then I thought of having the character blink, you know.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I did not do that. It's just too much work. So what else? Yeah, then you have, beside portrait, you have characters idling, basically.
Yeah.
In all sorts of positions, you know, sitting down, eating, drinking, moving, just talking to someone. There's lots of those. And then if the character is in combat, basically, if you can put him in combat, then you got the combat animations.
You're going to do equipment as well, different equipment for different characters and...
Kind of. I got some secret classes for, let's say, in the game. They are not exposed, but you do have, each character is a separate class, basically.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking about player characters.
Yeah.
So, for example, one character can only equip a sword, a throwing dagger, and armor. The next character, everybody has armor, right? But they specialize in different weapons. This is how I made it. For example, the mage only can equip staffs, like in Condor. Then you got, for example, another character that uses crossbows and swords. So you got those fixed slots. And I would allow every character to use any weapon, you know, that would be amazing, but I need to take photos of all those different
each one of those is like a new photograph that you need to take. Yeah.
And it's 8 sides, and it's 8 times all sorts of animations I need. You know, idling, walking, attacking, defending, getting hurt, dying. There's lots of those, and it's 8 sides.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's 5, 7, 8 frames, for example, per animation. Which it's a lot. Yeah, it's, for example, for a combat character, it's around 500 frames, let's say, of animation. Yeah.
Wow. I'm really impressed. And playing the demo was like a real treat. I love playing the demo. I can't wait for the next update. Like, I assume you're gonna roll out.
I need to update the demo. It's really overdue.
Have you thought about doing like guest appearances and stuff like that? I know there was some talk about that, like getting some like celebrity guests to take some photos to be in the game or anything like that. Like get
Yeah,
a picture of Raymond D. Feist in there or something.
I've been talking with Neil,
Uh-huh.
so far we did not do this, but yeah, I need to put him in game.
Yeah, and you're mentioning Neil Halford, who's the writer on the original
Yeah.
Betrayal at Krondor. He didn't work on any of the follow-up stuff, did he?
He.
Yeah. And actually, I'll ask this now, since we're talking about characters and costumes and stuff. Are there any wigs in the game? Because the wig budget for
Nope.
Betrayal at Krondor was perhaps a little lower than we had hoped.
No, I can't afford them. My images are a bit higher resolution, so I can't afford to hide those elastics behind the pixels. So I need to use.
So only natural hair.
Yeah, so far. I mean.
Are you going to have creatures and stuff like the Black Nur or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have them yet, but I plan to have. I mean, the lore of the world has some mythological creatures, ghosts and all sorts of creatures that you find. From the Romans, inspired by the Romans, and then the Slavic mythology, stuff like that. So I do have a rooster for those, but I mostly can't dress people in it. So I've been, for a while, I've been thinking how to implement those. The latest idea is to basically render them in 3D and then render those frames, single frames, out of the 3D renders. But it's a lot of work. They need to look the part, right? They need to look realistic, which means really high quality model, high quality lighting, animations. And then transform those into sprites.
So 3D rendering is definitely like an easier way to go than like paying somebody to make a rubber suit or something, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. There was actually another question, which we did touch on a little bit, but I'll read that out now too, because it's relevant to Call of Saregnar, and that is what. Like, even though, like, there's a lot of us who love Krondor, and we can all agree, like, yeah, it's a great game. What was that the key inspiration for Call of Saregnar, and like why Krondor, if that is the case?
Sorry, can you repeat? I was just
I'll repeat the
distracted
question.
by the chat by a moment.
Yeah, there's some good chat going on, so that's great. But so Call of Saregnar is inspired by Betrayal at Krondor. It's like one of the key inspirations.
Yep.
Obviously, the hex grid. Maybe did you borrow that from Antara, or was that just like you like hex grids better than square grids?
You would think, but I just decided to upgrade a bit the combat to make it a little less limited by the square grid. But yeah, consequentially, I guess maybe. In the back of my mind, Antara popped up.
Yeah. So the question that came from the chat was more about why Krondor as an inspiration instead of, say, I don't know, maybe Lands of Lore or some other crazy game from that period.
It's my huge love for the game, and I guess the principle why is because there were no games like it ever made, right? No proper sequel.
It's
true.
There
wasn't Antara, which was, in my opinion, a terrible game. It did implement some new things. For example, looting all the bodies in one click. The combat was a bit more deep, although I preferred Krondor's combat because Antara's it's a bit too sluggish for my taste.
Right.
I did not like the drawn characters. I did not like the dialogue. I did not like the world. The story, I mean,
it's not the same world. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a sequel to me either.
No.
Like,
no. And then you got Return to Krondor, which is a completely different game, right? The combat in that game is amazing, if you ask me. It's gritless, but it's still it's a really nice combat in my opinion. But Krondor, yeah, it's the game I fell in love with, and collecting everything about it. I dedicated so many hours to the game.
What would you say, like, in terms of, like, you said you're collecting things based on it and stuff like that? What's like something that's a bit unique in your collection that like maybe other collectors haven't picked up?
It's hard to get anything really because there's not much to get on the game. I mean, all the art, original art, all the dynamic stuff, mugs, t-shirts, stuff like that, it's nowhere to be found. It's
Yeah.
It's either kept by the original developers or hidden somewhere, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got probably, yeah, I got the, you know, the Sierra magazine Interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It was an in-house magazine that they were releasing, and I got the one with for Betrayal at Condor on the front.
Oh,
that's
nice.
a nice thing. And
That's
then I
awesome.
got
I don't have that.
Yeah. I found it on eBay a couple of years ago. And then I got the German edition for Krondor.
Okay.
And I'm really, really looking for the Israeli version, but it's so far is eluding me. Also, Neil Halford is looking for it.
Yeah.
I've only seen the screenshot, I mean the box shots on somewhere online.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times, and it does look pretty cool. Yeah.
It's red and... yeah.
I don't know, like, that's something that's kind of fascinating to me, is these, like, the Hebrew versions of software. Like, there's Loom, there's Betrayal at Krondor, there's a few others that I've seen as well, and they look really, really nice. Like, it's somebody, I guess in Israel really cared about, like, getting high-quality ports or something. I don't know how...
They are so much different.
Yeah.
I've never seen the box in real life, so I don't know what the quality in hand actually is.
Well,
but,
yeah, that's true. I have never handled one. Maybe they're low quality, but they look really nice, so... Yeah.
And yeah, my this one. This signed and autographed.
See, now that's unique.
Yeah, this is probably the pizza resistance, as you would say.
Yeah, that's the pizza resistance for sure. I'm jealous. One day I might meet Neil Halford and get him to sign my copy, but for now I have to just live vicariously through you. That's awesome.
Yeah, a bit over a year ago, I met him in Venice. He and his wife, and it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I mean, Venice is about 2 hours of train away from here, so it was not far. And yeah.
So you knew he was in the area, and you're like, I'm going to make a trip out there and catch up?
Yeah. He said his wife was making, I think, was studying art, classical art, stuff like that. And that's where, so he told me, I'm coming to Venice, and would we meet? And
that is really, really cool.
And it was amazing, yeah. We spent the whole day together. It was an amazing experience. He's a really, really cool guy. Not just because I'm a fan of Krondor, but yeah.
He does seem like a really nice guy. I was like a bit starstruck. He came into, when I was playing Betrayal at Krondor, he came in and said hello. I was like, I know who this is, but I don't know what to say right now. I was a little starstruck, so I wish I'd...
He's like your favorite uncle.
Yeah. I wish I'd said something a bit more, but I was like, just sort of like, I don't know what to say, so I'm just not gonna, I'm gonna not blow it by not saying too much, and I regret that, but you know. He seems really, really nice. I've seen him on a couple of like video chats and stuff like that, and one day I'll try and ask him on here as well, but yeah.
He's a real nice person. I'm pretty sure he would be up to anything you come up with.
And now, you, Atreides mentioned something in the chat, which was about... So, there was a big poster that was put together for me. It's in the background. You can almost see it back there. And you did some artwork on that. So, I was trying to pull up...
Just a piece, yeah.
I was trying to pull it up, but I'm having trouble finding it right now. But, of course, I would like to say thanks for that. Thank you for your contribution to that. It's such a mind-blowing piece of artwork. I love the thing. I'm trying to find it right now.
Everybody did a really nice job.
Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful thing, and like it means so much to me. I look at it like basically every day because I work my day job out of this office as well.
Right.
So I spend a lot of time in here. I see it every day. Yeah, I don't know. I can't seem to find it. I must have downloaded it to a different folder. It's not in my downloads folder. Anyway, I can't bring it up on screen right now, I guess, but I would like to. So I could show everybody, but it's not there. Maybe I'll dig it up later on and we can take a look at it, but yeah. Again, thank you for that. Thank you for your contribution. It was awesome.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's change gears a little bit. Talk about other inspirations. There might, like, Krondor can't be the only inspiration for this game. Like, where else are you digging from? Is it you mentioned some Roman historic inspirations?
Yeah, I mean, I love love. I'm not really a genius, but I love history.
Yeah.
Especially from
Messed up.
since the Roman times to the Middle Ages, let's say, and then maybe up to the Renaissance. There's cool things happening. So, you know, everything from the gods to politics to stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the local mythology. I mean, the pre-Christian faith around here is very interesting. So I've been following an author here, local author, which wrote a lot of books, really thick volumes, talking about Tolkien. I mean, maybe around 60, 70 years ago, he did a lot of interviews with those people who still believed, followed that faith, and it's very, very interesting.
That is interesting. That's fascinating, actually. Yeah.
And how they were persecuted by the, you know, the Christian forces, and it's really, really interesting. All the old beliefs, and you get fascinating stuff, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I find that kind of stuff quite fascinating, like historic stuff. It's amazing how, like, when you think about how much time, like, the old, like, you think about, like, history, it definitely is like a living history, like, very broad as well. It's something that I don't think about very often, but then when I do start to think about it, it does sort of blow my mind how broad history is and how many different people and cultures and stuff like existed, and especially throughout.
Yeah,
Europe.
you need to focus yourself in a very small niche, in a small area, and find stuff to study there. Otherwise, it's just too much work. I mean, you need to be a historian to know more, but if you're doing it as a side project for a hobby, stuff like that, you need to specialize.
Well, there it is.
So I actually wanted to be an archaeologist when I was little.
Wow.
So perhaps some of it comes from there. It's a really weird mix. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to make games. I wanted all sorts of things. And
well, you're making games now, so you're hitting, and it's got some writing involved and a bit of history, so you're hitting all those marks.
That's it. I'm just combining everything that I like and focus into one game.
Yeah. Here you are. I found it. This is, I don't know if you can see the stream right now, but Atreides has posted a screen grab from the original artwork that you put together.
I need to switch to that. Perhaps.
Atreides wanted to be on TV, but they told me I have a face for radio. Oh no, Atreides. Yeah, so for me, actually, me growing up, I wanted to do similar stuff. Author was one of them. Archaeology was something I was interested in, mostly because of the Egypt stuff that I was exposed to that stuff as a kid, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to read more about that. Game dev is something else that I also pursue. So that's actually, I did not know that about you, but that's fascinating that there's a similar connection there.
Sometimes I even forget about it, me knowing about it, so that's okay. But yeah, I mean, also other things, of course, other games inspired it, although not even close to such a degree.
So the Betrayal is like the biggest influence.
Yeah, definitely 90% of it.
Right.
And then the other games are mostly, let's say, the vibes of it, not the actual mechanics, stuff like that. And that is the early. The early Black Eye games, you know, Star Trail especially.
Oh, right.
Shadows of Arriva, and the first one, what's it called?
All of the Black Isle games are not coming to mind right now. I'm going to Google it.
The Schwarze Auge, basically, the Black Eye German RPG role-playing system. Which is the first one? I got the box somewhere. Yeah, Blade of Destiny is the first one. If you haven't played Star Trail, you really need to. I mean, they are really hardcore games. Your characters can get ill. You need to prepare for travel. If you don't have the right clothing, you can die. If you get an illness and you don't treat it, they will also die. The combat is also really hard.
Right.
It's on a grid, top down.
It's like an
Yeah, the first one
isometric
was
combat sort of thing.
yeah, isometric combat, turn-based, and you got I don't know, maybe 200 spells, 200 skills and stats. I mean, not a lot of them are actually used in game or are useful, because I think they're simply copied from the pen and paper version.
Right.
But it's really deep, really cool.
It has a
Star
cool look
Trail
to
and the
it.
first one, yeah, they have the map travel feature. You have a compass, you click, and your party travels on the map. They hit a crossroad, and you need to sleep overnight, set guard shifts, search for rations, hunting, searching for water. You need to prepare for the journey, basically. And it's really tough, but it's so cool.
Yeah, it looks great. I haven't actually played it, so it's like I'm just looking at some images and like clicking. I was just clicking through a video of it as well, just to see a little bit about it, and it does look really
like Manaface seems to be the expert here. So
Manaface like got an expert on a lot of RPGs actually. Yeah,
Star Trail is really amazing. Yeah, they switched from the blobber fixed view jumping to a full 3D, and it's really cool exploring those villages. The CD-ROM version, if you ran and you did a turn, the screen would actually lean in as you moved. It was so cool back in the 90s when I first played it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a huge advanced move, like to do something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's a small thing, but it really looked cool, and almost only the CD-ROM version had it for some reason.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting dragged back into Call of Saregnar questions about like technology. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the tech that you chose to use for the game and stuff like that?
Right. It is 100% Unity, nothing custom. Maybe if you count shaders as custom, that's it. They're just very simple shaders doing very basic things. Basically, demodernizing the engine to make everything look pixelated and to blur the distance just about the route amount, so you don't get those MIP maps, showing and twitching in the distance.
Yeah.
It's
so the game runs in like
shaders.
1080p, right? Or higher resolutions.
I can set basically, but I think I currently I'm rendering it. It could be 800 pixels vertical.
Okay.
Right now, I think so.
So like internally, it's rendered at a lower resolution to help with that aesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have added an option to remove the pixelation, but I'm not sure I'm going to keep that option.
It's an awesome looking game. I still love that, like the way you've pulled off that retro style, and it does look like you've kind of just taken like the idea of like Betrayal at Krondor and just pushed it a little further, a lot further, but you pushed it a little further along the line, so it looks like it could be a sequel to that.
Yeah, it's like it could be. It's amazing how many people say that it looks like Betrayal at Krondor.
Yeah, I especially liked the inventory management. Like I immediately felt at home with the inventory as soon as I opened it up. I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Right. But yeah, for the rest of the graphics, I am using the third-party thing just for rendering the weather, the day and night cycle, the moon, those effects, the fog. But the rest is it's just custom shaders and pixelated textures and low poly objects, modeled in Blender.
So you modeling them? Or are you paying artists, or are you doing it all yourself?
So far, I just had one guy making a couple of house models, but the rest I did myself.
The rest is all you. It looks great. You've done a wonderful job.
It's got, I mean, it's everything is me apart from music and sound effects. I got two really cool, talented guys, which is Tony Macedonia from the US, and I got Ben Reichstein from Germany.
Wow. Okay, and music. What other projects have they worked on?
Sorry?
Is there other games that we would know that they've worked on before?
They have worked on some games, some indie projects. But Ben, the sound effects guy, he's working on he's doing the audio for Skywind. Skywind, which is basically the Morrowind in the Skyrim engine.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
It's a big community. It's a huge project.
Yeah,
he's doing audio for that, and he's just a passionate recording guy. Big love for mics and setups and audio and the weird equipment, doing all sort of things.
Yeah.
And Tony is really, really cool, really an amazing composer. He's doing orchestral stuff, and he worked on some indie games, previously.
Yeah, that's that sort of work is just always impressive to me because I have no idea how to do it. I'm like, don't have a musical bone in my body, so whenever somebody does something, I'm just like already very impressed.
I mean, neither do I. I love music. I play guitar, stuff like that, but I could never even remotely compose anything like it. So I glad I leave that to professionals.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask like more about you as well. Like I didn't want to just exclusively talk about Call of Saregnar, even though that is something that obviously I do want to talk more about. But I kind of want to pepper the conversation with talking about Saregnar and come back to it a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, some of the other stuff that I wanted to sort of find out more about is like your gaming background. Obviously, we all know about Underworld now. We know about Underworld 2, and we know about Betrayal at Krondor. But like, what sort of platforms were you gaming on, like in the early 90s and you know?
So I think the first, I mean, I'm a bit confused. I don't remember. I know I did own a NES, an original Nintendo entertainment system. You know, the one with the gun, playing Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
It was bundled with Duck Hunt / Mario Bros. 1.
Awesome. I think a lot of us are familiar with that particular cartridge. Was it localized?
No. I mean, it was bought in Italy.
Right.
But the games, I don't think they were localized in Italian. I'm pretty sure they were straight up English games.
The PAL edition?
Yeah, it was a PAL edition. Yeah, the console. I remember going to Italy. You had customs. I mean, we were not in the European Union yet. I don't think the Italy was. I'm not sure. It was way back, and you had customs on the border, right? So
yeah,
we smuggled it across the border. Of course, you couldn't smuggle the box. It was a big box, so we left that box in the store and just took the components under the seats, placed them anywhere, and then
so like you have a controller in your pocket and you can have the power brick, and I'll shove this under my jacket.
Yeah.
So funny.
That's how it came home. Yeah, those were good times.
Is that just because of taxes, or was there other reasons for needing to do that?
Yeah, you could basically you had passports, right? You could bring I think it was 100,000 lira, which were the currency then. It was, let's say, 100 euros, $100 per passport per month.
Oh, okay.
And that, I'm not sure how much the console costs, maybe 150 to 100,000 lira, something like that.
Okay, a lot more than.
And I don't know if our passwords were used up by then for the month. I'm not sure how it was. So yeah, smuggling was preferable because you had to pay, I think it was 20%. Something like that.
Yeah. Just across the border.
IVA, which was the tax on the Italian side. So yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is really fascinating to me because I grew up in Australia. We're landlocked, like we don't. Well, no, we're sea locked, whatever. We don't cross borders like that at all. So, but for you, it's like probably it could happen any day of the week, really, right? So
it was train different times. Yeah. I mean, Italy was closed. We went shopping for clothes, even some groceries over there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So you grew up near a border, or is it just that easy to cross?
Yeah, it's really close. It's really close. It's
I wonder, like,
drive.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it. So I've got to visit Europe someday. I got to do that.
Yeah. It should. You should.
I'd love to. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's not like it's not like I'm trying
I'll be happy to tour you around.
I'll hold you to that.
I mean, Ben, our sound effects guy, Ben, is visiting in a couple of weeks. So
awesome.
We'll have some fun times around here, recording stuff in nature.
Oh, that's great. I love that kind of thing. When I've seen like some Foley recording stuff that people have done for other games. And I remember like the people who were making, I don't know if you remember Lugaroo and Overgrowth. I don't know if you remember those. They were indie projects. It ended up spawning the Humble Bundle sort of adjacent to it. But I remember their audio engineer was like posting videos of like Foley recording, and I was like so fascinated by the process because he's like out in nature, like crunching things and hitting logs onto stuff and all kinds of stuff. I was like, wow.
You get completely different sounds out of completely different things that you don't even imagine, you know. Stuff like fire, you know, crumbling paper, blowing into the mic, and combining those to get fire effects.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I wish I could learn a skill like that. Anything audio related, I'm always fascinated by it. Yeah, it's true. So you played on the NES and you had Duck Hunt, Mario. What other games do you have on that platform?
Probably the most loved was I don't know. Super Mario Bros. 3 was great.
Yeah,
I loved, you know, the worlds, the map. It was cool. And then probably more. I remember playing Mission Impossible.
Oh, I've never played that on the NES. Is it good?
That one, yeah. It's okay. You play as different characters. It's really nostalgic. I tried playing it a while ago, but it's not that good a game.
I'm definitely gonna have to look into that game. There's a whole bunch of games for the NES that I'd never played because I didn't have one, and I didn't have access to one very often. I played a handful of games, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember going into a shop that you would. What's it called, like Salvation Army, stuff like that, that have in the US, where you buy and sell used things, right? And I found a couple of those games there. So Mission Impossible was one of those. I had the second Zelda games, A Link to the Past, I think it's called.
Is that
which is
the
side-scrolling Link jumping around? I played that quite a lot. Solomon's Key, I remember that game. It was a puzzle game. It's a cool puzzle game. Nice music.
I've definitely played that a little bit on emulation, but I haven't. That's an interesting game actually. Like it's like the puzzle platforming sort of action and interesting design. I don't know. A lot of people probably have played it, but so still for me, it's still got a little bit of charm and mystery to it because I haven't played through the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, they're hard games. I would hardly recommend anyone to play any of those. Maybe Mario Bros. 3, it's really, really playable.
It is actually. Mario Bros. 3, I have that, and it is actually very good. I'm still kind of blown away by how good it is. And there's like the homebrew NES scene as well. Like, you know, you can get new games for it. So I got a handful of those as well.
I mean, the NES got such a limited palette and displaying such great graphics. They really pushed the console in the third version of the game.
Yeah,
it's really amazing.
Yeah, they did. It doesn't look anything like the first one. It's like so much nicer looking. Did you have
that was...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry?
I was going to ask you about
NES,
PC.
Right? Yeah, PC. That was probably my favorite platform. I got it when I was, I don't know, 13, 14. In the time frame that I basically got Condor. And
right.
It
so
was
you went
the
from
386
to PC. You didn't go through like
that's the thing that I don't remember if it was in between or I had just a bit before or after. I'm not sure. I know I did not play that many consoles. I mean, I did have together with a friend, we bought not an Xbox. We had a PlayStation 1. We had a Nintendo 64, I remember. And that is everything I ever had about. I never even had those consoles because it was I just had the NES.
Yeah.
I know that I sold it. I know I purchased it again a few years, lots of years after.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that console again, but it was a PC. It was a 386 DX40. I remember very well.
Awesome.
2 megs of RAM. I upgraded it to 4, which was very expensive. I did get a sound card. Sound Blaster clone, something like that. A CD-ROM, and it was, yeah, that was the thing.
Wow.
And the
was 4x CD
Slovenia, being Slovenia in the time back then, the games were pirated, right? So you get the guy who sold you the PC provided you with games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the game I still love, I fell in love with, that was not an RPG, was Gods on the Bitmap Brothers.
Oh wow!
You know the game?
Yeah, I know that game. Yeah.
So cool graphics, and also I guess some of the inspirations for a game for Call of Saregnar could also come from that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ruins, the secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool game.
It's got a really good aesthetic. I love like these Amiga originating from the Amiga sort of games. They have a certain look to them. Like I don't know what it is, but like they all seem to have color palettes that lend themselves, I guess, to the Amiga, and that probably is like part of where the aesthetic comes from. But they had amazing artists on that platform somehow. I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
good tools or something.
The graphics in the Bitmap Brothers and the graphics they really did great graphics.
Yeah,
they really were the Bitmap Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of the games that they released were really cool.
So this could Gods could be an inspiration because of like the mythological stuff that's in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's stuck with me. They had lots of ancient Rome, maybe Greeks, right? Pantheon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And when you play like something like, did you play, I don't know, Diablo, Titan's Quest, anything like that? Those that like have their own mythologies in them as well. Would you say you could draw on those for Saregnar at all, or is it really limited?
I always liked RPGs that were more immersive, with more story element, world building, stuff like that. But I also played lots of other games that are not RPGs.
Right.
I played lots of dynamics simulation games.
I love the dynamic simulation games. We could talk about that.
Yeah.
Where did you
Aces? So Aces games.
You would say you're a Dynamics fan. Played a lot of their sim games, like.
I'm pretty sure I'm a Dynamics fan. Yeah. Probably again because of Krondor.
Yeah, they did that, and they obviously used like sim engine tech to make that game. Like they. Were
like, it's just really fascinating. Yeah, let's put the Aces of the Pacific engine on the ground and let's make an RPG.
A lot of those, like, they did a ton of flight sims. They did the sci-fi stuff as well with like the mech combat games, and yeah, so many cool.
Tank Killer, the A10 Tank Killer. I remember that game. It was also probably one of my first games ever played.
Did you play Red Baron?
So cool.
That's awesome.
Not back then. No.
Yeah, it's Red Baron 1 or 2. I don't remember which one, but like I remember being completely blown away by how good they managed to make that look, like on the tech they were using. I was like really impressed. Yeah, and then there's like obviously they worked with Sierra on a ton of other stuff too, like the adventure games and stuff like that. Did you ever play adventure games like back then, like the point and click adventure games as well? Yeah,
LucasArts mostly. I don't think I played any Sierra game back then. Or if I did not like them. But I played Monkey Island 1 and 2. No, 1. 2. I think I started with Monkey Island 2, actually. On a friend's PC, he had a Hercules graphics card, black and white. No sound, just a PC speaker.
Yeah.
And we played it together.
PC speaker, no sound, playing Monkey Island 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
But then later on, when I had the Sound Blaster and the graphics cards, I mean better hardware, I remember playing it and enjoying it and finishing it. I mean, there's so many games. I think I bought all the boxes for all the games that I ever touched in my life.
Really?
Played.
So you've managed to go back and make your collection whole based on the stuff that you actually enjoyed
I think so.
Then. That's awesome.
I mean, I can just recite you the titles. It's right. You know Inferno from Digital?
Yeah.
Digital Some Design. Yeah. That I love that game.
That's another flight sim.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like sci-fi,
space shooter, sci-fi. I remember going above the planets, super high speed. It was such a fast engine.
Yeah.
Later, it was the TFX, right? The game was made on top of it. It was a bit improved.
It was. mind-blowing, but like I remember my brother specifically like not liking it for some reason. I don't remember why he didn't like it, but like that colored my opinion of it initially. But like when I actually like played it, like sat down to actually play it, I was like, oh yeah, this game's freaking amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it was so cool action.
Yeah.
The enemies would go so fast, you could barely see them. It was, the speed was incredible, and the sound, the music was also really cool.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, music together with cool looking graphics that had some of the, you know, I don't know what to describe it, but yeah, the recipe seems to be really cool music with realistic graphics and
yeah, pushing that
story.
technology envelope a little further each time. Yeah. Were you into the demo scene, or did you ever like watch demos or?
No, not really. No, I never had an Amiga, which was the primary platform for demos, right?
Yeah, that was pretty big for the demo scene, the Commodore platforms. But there was also, on PC, there was a lot of demo stuff too. Maybe it was a little bit later though, like before they migrated to the PC. But yeah, I remember seeing a ton of cool tech, and I was like, how the heck did they do that? Like,
right. I mean, they're really cool demos. I have watched them, played them. I got an Amiga 500 and a 600 later on. Yeah. Much later on.
Right.
And I checked those out. That really cool stuff. I could have become, I guess, a Commodore boy if I let my father not purchase the PC, but he wanted to buy me a Commodore 128.
Imagine what life would be like.
It was an old thing, yeah.
Imagine.
Perhaps if I had that, I would get an Amiga later, right?
Yeah, maybe. And then maybe you wouldn't play Betrayal at Condor, and then maybe you'd be
none of this would exist.
Something different, a platforming game like Gods, maybe.
Yeah.
It is interesting, like that history is like, it's actually fairly dynamic. Like, for me, like I went from the Amstrad to 486. Like that was the jump that we made. So technology was like just mind blowing for me for a long time after that change.
I mean, I would probably miss the smooth scrolling 60 FPS on the Amiga.
Oh yeah,
it had the hardware scrolling, hardware sprites. It was so smooth. A friend of mine, I know, he had an Amiga 500, or it was a 1200. I'm not sure. Maybe even better.
Yeah, the graphics processor in the way the graphics are processed in those systems, and then the Atari as well with the massive litter tech that it had was like pretty wild as well. So there was a lot that
the PC was catching up. Yeah.
It took a while for PC to really get there, and there was like a lot of tricks and stuff to make smooth scrling happen. It was only really at like 20 frames a second, not hitting 60.
Still it wasn't smooth, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like took a little while, but like it happened. Especially after the 3D effects and stuff like that started to come to market.
The Amiga was definitely overpowered back then.
Yeah.
Sadly, it went down. I don't know. It's a really sad story.
It is sad. It is sad. It's disappointing.
It was such a great machine, and due to marketing, as far as I know, it went down.
And there's like the Power PC sort of like lasted for a while, like as well on the Mac side of things, but they kind of crossed over to Intel, and now they're on their own silicon again, which is like even more different.
Yeah. So. I mean, the Mac was never a thing here, but yeah.
Did you think about game design much back then? Or were you just consuming?
I wonder. I think I always wanted to make games. I just never even got to it. Yeah. I know I have tried different engines back then, but they were, C++. I've been trying to learn C++, but it was, I don't know. It was hard. And then, you had to know a lot of transformation matrices, stuff like that for the 3D graphics. And I did check out some engines back then. I did put some things together. Thought about making an RPG, but then my skills let me down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge time investment to build tech like that, even if you're using an engine to like make it do what you want back then. And there was a ton of them.
But
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what era you're thinking about, like, talking about there. So it's hard to nail
It's
down.
the early to the late 90s, maybe to the 2000s, and then around the year 2000, I think some engines were starting to come out.
Yeah. There was, like, the Dynamics, Jeff Tunnel, and some other people, I think, working on that. I forget the name of the engine right now. It'll come to me. Torque 3D, I think it was called. Which was pretty fascinating. It's kind of like an early... It's kind of a little bit like Unity became. Not quite at the standard that Unity is to these days, but it was an interesting engine.
I think I tinkered with the predecessor of Unity. I don't know what was it called. It became Unity after. I don't remember. Something 3D.
Right.
It was called something 3D. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember either. I don't know what the predecessor to Unity is.
Destiny 3D. I remember Destiny 3D. It was an engine. I think it was renamed, or it was renamed to Destiny 3D. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, I did tinker with those. But back then, I just played and maybe dreamed of making games someday.
Yeah. Did you make board games or anything like that? Like,
no, never.
You ever play tabletop RPGs?
No, because no. None of my friends ever played. The closest thing I came to a tabletop RPG was Hero Quest.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah. But also, it was hard to make friends play those kind of games.
Yeah.
It was hard.
I always struggled to get my friends to play Hero Quest.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to actually play Heroes Quest.
So I played it by myself, you know.
Yeah.
let's imagine.
I came up with like different systems. Like I dice rolling, and I had like little dials to spin to like have like basically an AI for the enemies, so I could like play against the AI. It was really, so cool. Really dumb, but it was enough for me to enjoy Hero Quest without my friends.
Right. Yeah, I was obviously not such a creator, such a designer, Mr. Nerd. Yeah, back then.
Yeah,
I am now.
Yeah.
I had to grow into my nerd shoes, I guess.
Yeah, it's I mean, like the path you take is obviously very meaningful, like to how you've come to like this point, and I guess that's what I'm trying to delve into a little bit. Is like you're making Call of Saregnar, which is a huge undertaking, and obviously like we just touched on like one little part of it when we talked about the graphics production pipeline that you have to go through, which is wild to hear. Like the technical approach to that, just to get all of that done, and that's just like one little part of the game. It's not even like, you know, you got to think about combat and like the magic system and like the world building, and there's like so much there. Not to mention the 3D modeling that you ended up having to do. Did you know Blender before you started doing the 3D modeling?
Yep. I mean, I was aware of it. I probably played in 3D packages, various 3D packages, you know, 3D Studio mostly. I played a bit in those.
3D Studio Max, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, 3D Studio Max is really a really cool package, really easy to pick up. Maya also, I tried that one, but you know, they're expensive, so...
Yeah. Blender's great because of the free side of it, but it's also actually pretty decent. I learned...
For modeling, for 3D modeling, texturing, it's really, really good. It's just you need to get used to the UI. It's a bit weird. I mean, the latest iterations, they are much better than they were years ago. Yeah, it's like I said, I had to grow up to hone my skills in so many areas before actually deciding to go into a large project like this one.
So you knew going in, like, this is going to be a challenge, but I feel like I've gathered the tools I need to do it, sort of thing, and you got to learn the rest of it.
Although, it went to several iterations. So the first Call of Saregnar would actually start as, I mean, okay, we can go way back and talk about all sorts of trying to make an RPG that could be Call of Saregnar. But the later iterations, I wanted it to be a very simple mobile phone game, maybe mobile tablet, specifically on iOS, because I had some experience on that, and it would have you know, Darklands by Microprose.
Yeah.
And the screens that you had, the menu screens inside in the cities that you could navigate. It would basically have those to to explore cities and places. It would have a map travel, similar to Star Trail.
Okay.
It would have simpler combat, like a top-down grid, and you know, kind of tokens for enemies and your characters. And it would have, you know, story exploration, map events. It would be a much simpler game.
Yeah. So you started working on this, or just like drawing sketches, or?
Yeah, I had some. I don't think I ever did. I have code for that or not? I don't think it was. I think it could be just design stages. I know I have a lot of sketches for that. Maybe I even have them here. We check.
Ooh,
but
exclusive sketch content on stream live. There it is. So this is the earliest, some of the earliest designs.
This could be the first thing I ever drew for this game. I have tons of those.
Yeah.
Combat.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Message windows.
That's awesome. So what were you drawing on to come up with, like, just when you sat down to decide to like do these plans that you're showing us now? Are you drawing from a day job? Oh, that looks great.
You could have either a map. I think this was textual navigation. Then you have ever played Wizards and Warriors?
I have a little bit, yeah. I haven't finished.
On Bradley, I don't know what. And you could basically have a 3D view and you would scroll left to right.
Yeah.
And you can see things progressing into more complex territory, right? I think what held me back was Unity and the UI. I loved Unity. I know you had to use weird UI components, third-party software to create the UI, and I was frustrated a bit about it because I mainly wanted to make a 2D game, right?
Yeah.
So it did not make much sense.
And Unity back then was not very good at 2D.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
It was 3D mostly, right?
Did you look at Construct and other 2D focused engines at the time?
I did some designs, I think, for other games too. In, you know, was it Game Maker?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Multimedia
engines,
Fusion,
you know. Yeah, mostly click engines, components, dragging nodes around. But yeah, once Unity came out with a proper 2D GUI system, there was no way back. I started to making something in it, and then what about, right? Let's make something 3D. It's very, very, very simple 3D, like Crondor. Not more complicated than Crondor. Right, you know, right.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. That's where it's gonna end, right? And yeah, there was no way back. Since I put the first sprite tree, billboard tree in the very, very polygonal landscape, there was no way back.
So the rest is history, as I say.
I'm stopping now. The quality of the graphics you see right now, I'm stopping there because otherwise there's no stopping.
It feels like you really nailed it too. Like the look is very striking that you've landed on. So
I'm happy about it. Yeah, even you know, years and years after development, when I hit the play button, put it full screen and go around, yeah, I like this. I still like it. Which is a big thing to say. You know.
It is, actually. I know what you mean, because I very self-critical of the work that I produce. So when if I ever get to a point where I'm like, I like the way that looks, that is
But also looking at it for years and years and not getting bored of it. I mean, well, I'm really happy the way it is now.
Yeah, I think that looking at like where it is now is it reminds me a lot of it reminds me a lot visually of Antara, like because it is like that technological step forward that you'd think of from Crondor to Antara, but it's like it looks more refined than that somehow. Like it's more cohesive.
It's a better engine, right?
Oh yeah,
they still use the Betrayed Crondor engine, as far as I know. They could only do so much with it.
Yeah. So I guess I still I think we talked a lot about like your gaming history and like that's awesome. But obviously like a big part of Krondor and like its world, it comes from like Raymond D. Feist and his novels and stuff like that. So obviously you've also read those books, those works, and are you using that for inspiration as well, or is it really only the game that's the inspiration, and then the story's coming from this other place of like local history and local like mythology and stuff like that from Slovenia where you are?
I did mention going to Italy a few times, right? So,
yeah, you mentioned Italy a lot. Yeah.
Same thing happened with the first 3 books.
Oh, really? They were also
5
smuggled.
Books, yeah. Magician and Darkness at Satanan and Silverthorn.
Yeah.
So they are Il Signore della Magia, which is the translation Italian for magician. Yeah, of course they were Italian books. They were in Italian because you don't get an English book in Italy, right?
Okay.
Everything is translated. So the first 3 books of the Rift War saga I read in Italian. Then later on I purchased and I read through all of 5 books.
Right. And do you prefer the Italian versions, or do you like?
No. I mean, they have really cool art.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, better than everything else. But yeah, I mean, Italian. It's a nice language. It's very poetic. It's nice reading, but still, the original is the original, right? I have fond memories of reading those, but yeah, I've read everything. Although I have skipped the books he co-wrote with Jenny Wirtz.
You skipped them?
Empire. Yep.
You should.
And I'm reading them now.
Oh, good.
And they are amazing. I have read the first one.
Yeah.
I had it in my closet for years and years because it was a bit too much slow going, too much political for me at the time.
Yeah,
I was young, you know, but right now they are really cool books. One of the best.
The Empire series doesn't take too long to start digging into that action and like intrigue and stuff. They get pretty interesting.
I just probably read a few pages and I did not like the Japanese-esque switch. I still much prefer the European medieval setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew to like that, and I'm enjoying those books. I'm in the middle of the second one right now, so yeah, still got some.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read them. I read all the whole series, and then the last maybe 4 or 5 books in like I don't even know what to call this, the Midkemian stuff though. I didn't really finish reading those yet, so I read everything else up until that point, and then I sort of like got to a point in my life where I didn't have as much time to sit down and read a book, so I haven't finished those ones yet.
Yeah, since I got the Kindle, which was years back, I'm reading more because you get on the couch, wife's watching TV, something like that, the kids around, so it's easier to just than grabbing a book. Where did I stop and just grab a Kindle and read it that. But I still own, I think, maybe all of Feist's books.
Yeah.
In Midkemia, I don't like his latest Firemain saga, or what's it called. It feels too derived by Game of Thrones. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah. Well, there was also like some other authors that like got the opportunity to write in the universe as well.
I like those, so... I like those, most of those.
Yeah.
Also the short stories, the Jimmy the Hand and those books were cool.
There was some good stuff. I think there's a lot to explore in that universe. So like I loved the books. I got a ton of them signed as well. So I need to.
Oh, cool.
I should probably bring them out on the stream sometime, because I talked about it a lot, but I've never actually shown them.
I only got Krondor, The Betrayal signed, because I won it in a Sierra sweepstake years back. Somehow I won something.
That's wicked. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you, like, obviously... I don't know how that... I've never won anything like that before, so I don't know what the process is like, but it must have been awesome.
I don't remember. I think I knew somebody in the US who I had the book shipped to him, and then he shipped it to me.
Oh, that's
Must
awesome.
have been something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about stories, inspirations for the game Feist, I mean, I love Mythemia, but I still wanted to create my own world, my own creatures, so I'm not copying anything of that. I don't have elves, I don't have dwarves, I don't have Braknurs, anything like that. It's the world I came up with, but I do like Feist writing.
Yeah.
So I think you can find some parallels, some inspirations from there. Because I did not read really that many authors. I did read the Dragonlance books, not all of them, but some of those. I started on Ted Williams, the Dragonbone Chair. I read some Tolkien.
Yeah.
But
C.S.
it's
Lewis.
still primarily Feist that is my inspiration. So
yeah.
Whenever
I hear about Tolkien, I always think about C.S. Lewis for some reason. Did you read any of that, like Silverchair or anything like that?
I read a localized collection of short stories. I wouldn't even know how they are translated or what are the original titles.
Yeah.
They are cool. The Silmarillion, I think. Did I read a bit of that? I'm not sure. Although I must say, I never finished The Lord of the Rings.
That's all right. Nobody will blame you for that. It's too.
I could be ashamed about it. I don't know.
It's too wordy.
Yeah, very, very.
I tried. I read the first 2/3 of Lord of the Rings pretty okay, but the last third of Lord of the Rings, like, I don't know if it was me being fatigued or if it just got more wordy. But I struggled to finish that book.
I'll probably read it when I retire.
Yeah.
When I got time in my.
The Hobbit is a lot easier to read. If you haven't tried The Hobbit, just go read it.
I read The Hobbit. I actually find the book in the library, in the school library, when I was back then, when I was 14, maybe. I know the librarian there recommended it to me.
A good recommendation, The Hobbit, I think.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's weird to even. It's weird that even you had such a book in our country back then. It was.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's weird to find fantasy literature, in my opinion. So I'm not sure if it was fate or something that stuck that book in my hands.
Yeah.
But
do you think that might have guided you towards the fantasy genre and stuff like that?
I believe there is some weird god from my universe that was pushing me into the certain directions to just make this game.
Nice.
I may be fated to do it and finish it.
Well, I mean, that's
perhaps I won't die until I finish it.
Good. Well, I mean, maybe. I don't know how to what perspective to take on that, actually, because, like, you know, you finish the game and then your life's work's done. Like, is that it? Like, or are you going to move on and make like a sci-fi game next?
I got plans.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a. I mentioned Inferno, right?
You did.
Well, that's
Inferno inspiration.
Something along those lines. Because that's again, no such game exists. You got space shooters. You got the Privateer inspired games. I loved Privateer.
Yeah.
The Wing Commander series.
I played a lot of games inspired by Wing Commander series, but I never played the Wing Commander series, so it's a bit of a problem.
I didn't like any of the clones, any of the inspired games actually.
Did you play?
They need to have. Do you need to have TIE Fighter? No, I do not like Star Wars.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't like Star Wars. It's to me. I mean, I enjoyed the older 3 movies, right? What are they? 4, 5, 6?
4, 5, 6
not sure.
Officially, yeah.
Yeah. I did like those, but
everything else after that, no thanks.
I don't like the puppets in it.
Yeah.
It's too childish. Some things are just too. I don't know. I like the serious part of it.
Yeah.
But some of it is just, the Muppet Show for me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I liked I like the video games, like if you haven't given TIE Fighter a shot, you might want to consider it, because I think if you like Inferno and Wing Commander stuff. And
I know my friend played it. He had a better computer than me. He had a 486 DX66. I remember.
Nice.
I was so jealous.
That's what we had. We had
he did play those games, and I loved how smooth they were. I loved the sound production, the music,
and 3D.
They were really fun games. Yeah.
Proper 3D.
I mean, yeah, the Star Wars universe did not drag me in, but I think I would love those games if I had a chance to play those.
Yeah, you don't need to you don't need to be a Star Wars fan to enjoy the TIE Fighter games. They stand alone very well.
Yeah, I primarily the game I loved the best was Privateer, the first one. It had a really cool balance between trading and going pirate, and story and space sim. It was cool. I'd like to make a game similar to Inferno, which basically means traveling down to planets, really fast action, really fast, some cool music, and you could entering bases, flying inside the bases, going into space, traveling between planets on a small scale, but still, and have really cool story to it. Basically, like in Call of Saregnar, the story should be the focus of the game.
Yes.
Although the game is lots of shooting and fast-paced action.
I always liked the games where you fly in to flying over a planet's surface or something like that, where you there was terminal velocity was the cheapest version of that, I think.
With the fog, very close fog that you
because it's very early 3D acceleration, and it wasn't designed to be in space, but you could fly inside the tunnels and stuff. It had some cool ideas. Descent was another one that was I always imagined it'd be cool to have the game that's you start out in space in Wing Commander, you go down to the planet's surface in terminal velocity or something like that, and then you can fly into the bases in Descent. This insane idea of a game. I don't think it'd be actually a very good game, but still the idea was there. I always thought that would look cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Inferno has those. You would approach planet, right? The planet would grow a bit bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the screen would turn black and loading.
Yeah.
And it would end up on top of the planet on the surface, and you could descend.
Yeah.
The aircraft was also cool. It would shift the aerodynamic shape depending on what you were doing.
Yeah,
in space it was
if you're in
different
atmosphere
than
or in space and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so immersive, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And
I always wanted the transition to be seamless, though. So no loading screen.
Yeah.
But,
it did not bother me.
Yeah.
But still, the planets were also different. One was the water and the lighting and those fishing ships, and one was reddish, and I mean, they were all cool.
I always wanted something with those kind of spacefaring combat games. There's games like Free Space where you can kind of trade and you don't actually have to engage in combat. You can kind of avoid it sometimes, and then maybe there'd be some bandits who want to take pirates and you have to fight them off or whatever. But for the most part, you can imagine that there's a living world around you, but it's very thin. There's not actually much there, and I always wanted something like that with more flavor. And that
basically an RPG in space with flying mechanics.
Yeah.
Is what's missing in my opinion. But also retro, not modern retro graphics, Still again low poly, everything low poly, because imagination is such a powerful engine, more than any other graphics engine out there. You need to find that thin line between imagination and showing that your imagination can actually work. But
I need to look into this, these other things. So you think you might Call of Saregnar is obviously priority number one, but then this could happen.
Definitely,
this could happen after that. Oh, interesting.
I've been working a bit on that side project, but just a bit. But
that was actually this is a good dovetail actually, because I was going to ask you. For me, I find it very hard to stick to a project. You said you've been working on this game for over 7 years, right? Or is it coming up to 7 years now?
No. I'm not sure. I'm just clicking through. I was clicking through the files of the project and checking the date created, and they were
been a
maybe
while.
even 7+.
Yeah. Okay. And so like for me, I can't always like maintain that sort of focus for that long of time. Like I have trouble with that. So I end up with side projects and then side projects on top of it sometimes as well.
Right.
Have you any secret side projects you've been touching that you'd like to share, or is there like something that's like nearly ready, like a little mini game that you've done or anything like that?
Not really. The problem. I mean, I'm fixing the problem of a big project, and by simply working each day on different things.
Yeah.
I got programming. I got modeling. I got classic art. I got texturing. I got writing. I got so many
You do
things
have a lot
to
to
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a bit cycling through those, keep things fresh, and I think that is what's worked for me.
Is that like you sit down to do something, you're like, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do writing today? Or
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I can afford that right now, so because I'm doing pretty much everything.
Yeah. And you're maintaining like a day job and a part-time day job, or
yeah, I need to, because
obviously,
expenses.
Somebody's got to pay the bills, right?
Yep. I got the Patreon. I'm thankful for that. But still,
actually, I wanted to get your Patreon link and put it in the chat. I forgot to do that. Let me grab it now. Should I just grab the one from your website?
Yeah, of course. Okay. It's just patreon.com/Saregnar.
Yeah.
I'd like that to cover my life expenses, so I could work on it full time. But it's still far from there. But stability is also very important, and family. I always put my family in the first place. The game is always second.
Yeah.
And on top of a job, it's hard to find time, but you just find it after the kids go to sleep, or if I'm alone at home or whatever. Weekends, I dedicate all of my free time, most of my free time, to the game. So I still get stuff done, because even if you had a full-time job and you were working on the game full-time, you would not work the 8, 10, whatever hours straight through, because you would burn. You can't work on such a project continuously for
creative
so long.
Burnout sort of thing. Hit that mark. Variety is pretty important. It sounds like you have a lot of variety in that project, which is really good for you to be able to do that. Okay, I did have a line of thought that I was going to go down based on the side project thing, but it sounds like you don't really have that many side projects to delve into right now.
I mean, I have another one, but I also did nothing about it. But I can quickly talk about it. It was basically an idea of having. Did you watch the movie Cube? You had rooms that were either safe or
I don't think I
not
watched
safe.
that one. No.
Well, it's a great movie, a really great movie.
Yeah.
I don't watch much horror, but that one is amazing. But the game is not really inspired by that. Just the idea of having a cube, a world like a cube, and rooms constantly changing.
Yeah,
I'm familiar
with it. Like, it's one of those. I think we studied like that movie at some point when I was studying. Like, there was like in a media design class we studied that, but I'd never watched it. But yeah, go on.
I mean, that's okay. But I still suggest you do.
I'll give it a watch.
Okay, and the game is basically takes the idea of the world, the whole world. Maybe not the whole world, but you play as a character that was put into one of those rooms by some gods. The gods were having a drinking game. They said, okay, let's award someone a place among us, right? If he manages to survive this labyrinth, this 3D labyrinth, and exit. Right? If he manages that, he can be one of us. Right?
Wow.
It starts, you know, it starts really. It's supposed to be very humorous. You would play one of those, a little creature that it's a tally. He's called a tally. It's like a small, that high, gremlin-like creature, goblin-like creature, very smart, very cunning.
How do you spell that? Because it sounds like Italy.
T-A-L-L-I. This is how it's supposed to be, but it's one of the creatures that I did not include in the world of Saregnar, but I was nearly including those in it because they would maybe not fit. But yeah, anyway, this world, this labyrinth, you would play as one of those creatures. You would have rooms that would either be safe or not. You would meet NPCs, talk to those, do quests for them, and the world would not change while you were playing, but each time you started a new game, it would randomize, right? You would get a randomized set of rooms. The knowledge of the inhabitants would also connect, so each NPC would know more or less where every other NPC or other room is in the labyrinth, and you would do tasks for them and try to find the exit, right? You would get, you would have either, you know, some combat, some platforming, but each time you would only see one room on screen. It would be in the center, everything else would be darkened. Each room would have some exits, right? It would connect to another room, and you would have basically find the exit. It would be a game, lots of humor, lots of dialogue, like in the adventure games, like in the LucasArts adventure games primarily.
I see.
Stuff like that, yeah. This was one of those projects I almost started, but yeah, I ended up with...
That's a cool idea. It's maybe if you ever need to take a break from Saregnar, you could like knock out a prototype for that and see how it goes.
yeah.
So like adventure gamey, puzzle gamey, lots of humor, and like
that,
it strikes me as the kind of thing that could be a like a procedurally generated thing because you're going room to room.
Kind of. The rooms would also be procedurally created from a bunch of prefabs, let's say, parts. It would be interesting. I think a game that does not exist or anything like that. I'm not aware of any game that would along those lines. So perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds interesting. Sounds fascinating. So I think one other thing that I have to ask, because people will not forgive me if I don't, you've got a couple of swords behind you.
Oh yeah.
Those were they bought as props for the game, or did you already have them?
No, I started collecting daggers. Primarily medieval daggers, but then those two swords are basically props for the game. Future props. I bought a lot of costumes and stuff that. I got a friend who's working in a big building. They got lots of room to set up a green screen. So one of those days,
awesome. That's very helpful.
So one of those days, I will go there and set up the green screen, all the thing, and we can start with him and a couple of friends, and I can kick into production the remaining bandits and NPCs.
Yeah,
and it's quite close to here, and I can invite people there, anytime. And so those swords, those were basically for the photo shoots.
Okay, but now they live on your wall and they look awesome. So
of course,
good investment either way.
I love swords. I love medieval swords. And all sorts of medieval weapons, but these are just not sharp. I think they're made in India. Cheap replicas, basically. They are not expensive weapons.
Well, they look nice on the wall there. So
maybe those daggers on the top are worth more than these two swords.
Okay, yeah. The daggers are made locally, or
one of those. This one This is made from locally from a guy.
Beautiful, yeah.
It's called the Misericord. It's basically a weapon that you would use to end the life of, for example, a knight. You would find a hole in his armor and finish him, right? It's very thin, you know, see, it's very ultra sharp.
Amazing.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Need to be careful. It's very, very sharp.
I can see that. I see you being super careful from that edge. That's good.
Then you got rondel daggers, which is a version of a rondel dagger. It's basically this round handle. This one is studded, you know, so your hand don't slip when you're all bloody.
Yeah.
It's again just a point to finish your opponent. Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
And you can go on and on.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. I like the idea of collecting like daggers or swords or something like that, but it's not something that I don't think I could invest the time or the money into it, because it's a whole other thing that I have to learn a lot about.
Yeah. I mean, this has been years and years back in collecting. I don't have many weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah, some countries, some countries stuff like this is illegal. But if it's not sharp, then it's no problem.
In like sourcing stuff locally, like obviously for the game, you're using like local lore, like local mythology, local religion, local resources for like photo shoots. Are you like recording sounds locally as well? Is that right?
No, sound-wise, that's Ben's.
Over in the US, is that right?
But he's in Germany.
Germany, right?
You did say that. I couldn't remember. He was recording local sounds. I don't think he's been using many from the libraries. Maybe just some fire effect. Or people talking.
Like
stuff like that.
Background sounds.
Inside the inns. You know, when you approach a door from the outside, you hear some noise inside too, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I would love to. I did have back in the day a recorder, you know, one of those hand recorders, the Zoom with the external mics.
Those things are amazing.
But yeah, they're great. It's so amazing just to go into the woods and record, you know, streams with brooks, with the water and birds, stuff like that. But it's again such a specialized thing if you want to do it properly, that you need all sorts of mics and parabolic stuff, and expensive again. You can't do everything.
Are you using like, being in Europe, I'm sure there are like ruins and castles and all kinds of stuff there as well, using those for inspiration and like looking at like historical
I love visiting all sorts of places, of course.
So like,
I mean, I have taken a lot of photos for textures, all sorts of walls and stuff like that, doors, you know, sections, parts, roofs. But I get a lot of my textures online still, because if it's okay, if it looks good, and it spares me a lot of editing and you know, making the texture seamless. But I do try to incorporate as much of my stuff as possible.
I think that like I'm really impressed by how you how you're doing that. It makes a lot of sense. But for me, like anything that's like medieval fantasy setting is just like so far removed from anything that I've experienced in my life. We don't have like,
I can imagine,
and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really fascinating to me that you could like, you know, go for a walk in the woods near your house and potentially come across some old like stones that were laid by Romans or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, you get so much history here, because this valley where I am was basically one of the principal routes through Italy. You would get, you know, you have Rome, and you up there you have what is it, Aquileia on the border, and then the road would go through the Slovenia, through our valley, and up into Germany and those north countries and other countries.
Yeah.
So a lot of history went through the valley where I live. So there's ruins and stuff like that everywhere. Thousands of years of history.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Like, I definitely, like, it's been on my list of, like, my bucket list is, like, definitely to tour Europe and go visit, like, all these places that, you know, I have some familial connections to, like, Europe, but I have never been there, so I'd love to go there someday. Yeah.
It can get expensive, right?
Oh, yeah. Just getting out of the country here is expensive, because there's not much that's close by. I mean, we could go to Asia for, less money, but...
yeah, I'd like to visit Japan with my family one of those days, but again, so expensive.
Yeah, we're doing our best. We're trying to save up because we got five people in our family. Actually, you mentioned you got a family too. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, but I'll talk about mine for a minute.
I mean, I've got a daughter. I've got a daughter of 10 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my oldest is 12. Yeah.
Oh,
actually, she's going to be 13 this year, and that's kind of a big milestone for us. So we're still trying to work out exactly how we're going to celebrate it.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
With the trip to Europe, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we've been trying to plan it, and like with the five of us, it's like it just
I can imagine.
Yeah, it gets very expensive very quickly. So it's like, okay, we'll put it off for a bit longer, but we want to do it while they're kids. So like, we don't want them to be like adult age by the time we actually make it, because they might not be interested by that point, you know.
That's true.
Yeah. Welcome,
if you're alone or a couple, no issues. But
yeah. I mean,
3, 4, 5. It gets just too expensive.
And if
everything.
If we wait too long, we'll be dragging like partners and potential grandchildren along with us. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Or if you wait long enough, maybe they will pay for their tickets. So
maybe, yeah.
Problem solved.
We just leave them at home and go by ourselves. We've actually seriously considered that, but it doesn't, like, they're not quite old enough for us to feel comfortable.
You get enough entertainment in this room to keep them occupied for a month.
Oh yeah.
Spend visiting Europe.
They do actually not mind the retro gaming. How about you? You've got a pretty cool collection of games too. Do your daughter play any of them?
Not really. I don't let her play so much because she mostly plays Minecraft on the Switch. But she likes when I'm working here at the game. She many times she asks me, "Can I take a ride?" You know. He likes to walk around and play my game, and she loves it.
That's awesome.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's really good that you can share that with her.
But I try to keep my daughter off of phones and social media and stuff like that as long as possible. Because it's just not good, if you ask me, for kids to let them be bored so they can get creative and become better, more skilled persons, in my opinion.
My middle child, she's the kind of kid who does get bored with like watching stuff or playing games, like PC games or something like that. So she's super creative though because of that. Like she'll go and find ways to entertain herself, building things and drawing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm always really impressed by that. That's
true. The moment you let them be bored, they just start doing so many things. I mean, she's writing stories, she plays the piano, she does lots of things, and but as soon as I let her, watch YouTube for half an hour or play some games, she becomes wild. None of this. She's all constantly bored and completely change of character.
Good on her.
So
that's really good.
But I would not let any of the kids go and experience too much of this TikTok stuff like that. It's poison, if you ask me.
We keep our kids off of like any social media stuff. The closest they come to that is like we'll let them watch some YouTube. Like there's some YouTube content. We're like, yeah, you can watch that. But
I let her some, if it's Minecraft content, stuff like that, I let her watch.
Yeah, but, that's basic.
We rather put some cooking show on TV and watch that together.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we do have a couple of TV series we try and watch together as well. So there's some good stuff out there nowadays. I don't know. It seems better. Like TV seems a little better than it was when I was a kid.
maybe.
Yeah, like one thing that I tried to do is like take the kids out and go hiking or like go visit some nature stuff like that. But I've been pretty lax on that in the last probably 3 or 4 years. So trying to remedy that this year. I've been out a few times.
Right.
We've been to like...
The problem is getting them out of the house, but once you do, they're all happy and cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Started doing geocaching because it's like they wanted something, like they didn't want to be bored. I'm like, oh, we'll do
right,
geocaching.
that's cool.
So yeah, so that's pretty good. Hunting
That's a
down
really cool idea.
hidden items and stuff, because it's kind of like a treasure hunt then, and yeah,
Mhm.
they like it.
You could also go around, place those things in
They've
places. And
asked if we could do it a few times. I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of a big commitment, but yeah, maybe.
yeah, I can imagine you streaming and working,
Yeah.
finding time for it.
Yeah, we're going on a camping trip, with just me and my son next weekend, so that's been something I've been saying we'll do for like 6 months now, and I just never really got around to it, so I was sick recently, so I thought, you know what, I better plan this.
Right.
So I took the chance while I wasn't doing anything else to plan it.
That's cool. I'm actually planning, to go to dress in medieval costumes and go with a couple of my game development friends into the woods and sleep overnight, you know.
You're doing a little bit of LARPing, sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
To experience some of the historic.
Yeah.
I mean, you would not get people camping in the Middle Ages, right? It was dangerous. They would travel during the day and sleep in monasteries or stuff like that. But still, it's fun.
Yeah. And I
you
guess
build a fire, you make some food, you talk about game development, dressed medieval, and sleep
like
overnight in the forest.
Time. I'd love to join you. I'll just sneakily buy a ticket out there and yeah, no, that sounds really, really fun, actually.
It is.
Yeah, we've got there's a lot of great places to camp around here, but nothing like that, nothing historic like that. Like in terms of like Western settlement, like our country's very young, so yeah, we've got a few shacks and
but
stuff.
Yeah, you got nature, which is also cool.
Yeah, we do have a lot of.
I mean, you got nature that's trying to kill you on every corner, but still you got nature, right?
it's not quite that bad. Although, like, I've definitely had encounters with some of the venomous snakes and stuff like that, but usually it's like pretty manageable.
Nature's here is really mild. I mean, I had a couple of girls from Australia visiting. Friends of a friend, and we went through the forest and pieces like this, and they were, you know.
You have like bears or wolves?
Is this the wild?
Is there bears or wolves or something out there where you are, or
bears? I mean, wolves were recently reintroduced, I think, but they're very rare. We got some coyotes, which also came a couple of years back from Italy, I think they came up.
Right.
Bears, we got bears, but only one was spotted in my parts, otherwise in the deeper forests up there. But other than that, you know, you got the foxes, the badgers.
Yeah.
Lots of birds.
See, I feel like I'm equipped to deal with like Australian wildlife to a degree. Like I know like how to deal with it, whether that's avoid or like, you know, give them a little bit of space or like, you know, not worry about it at all kind of. Like I know where I stand with Australian wildlife a little bit, but like I don't know, badger I understand is like they can be pretty territorial and aggressive, but I don't really know like what you're supposed to do. So like if I saw a badger in the wild, I don't know if I'd respond correctly.
Nothing. I know a friend of mine tried to I mean, one of the badgers went to him, he went to attack him, he had a shovel, he hit him, and it did not help, so he just ran.
Yeah. Like I don't know if we have a similar creature here. Like I think wombats are pretty rugged creatures, but they're not aggressive like a badger would be. So I don't know.
Yeah, in Australia, I speak animal danger.
I just don't know if it's true.
Like, don't you think? I think so. I don't know.
I mean, we do have like, you know, if you get bitten by certain snakes, you're in big trouble unless you can get like medical attention quickly. The spiders that we have are pretty dangerous, but for the most part, like they're easy to avoid. If you like, again, it's like if you know what you're looking for, kind of thing. So, like, and like up north, you got more dangers of crocs and stuff like that. South, where I am, there's not a crocodile problem at all. Right. Kangaroos are pretty small around here too. Like they're not the big scary ones you see in the outback. Like the biggest one I ever saw was in the outback. It was like probably Well, I saw one taxidermied one that was like over 2 meters tall. And as a little kid at the time, that was like really intimidating to stand next to it. But like in the outback, I've seen them like, you know, 160 to 180 centimeters easily. So yeah, they get pretty big out there, and like I wouldn't want to go up to them, but yeah, I don't know.
The animals are so different between Australia and here.
Yeah,
it's amazing how they did not have time to cross cross to here, right?
I mean, we have dingoes here, but we don't have wolves, and the dingoes are like they're more like. There's not really like wild packs of dingoes the way that you would get like wild packs of wolves or something like that.
Aren't they like dangerous kind of dogs?
Yeah, they're more like a dangerous dog. Like you shouldn't really trust them.
Would they attack?
They're more likely to try and scavenge from your camp than they are to try and attack anybody. So
okay,
you know, yeah, like they can kill, they can be deadly, but they're not like you don't hear about dingo attacks very often. Yeah, people being stupid around the water up north and getting attacked by crocodiles, the thing that happens.
Yeah, our part is just a couple of snakes that can be dangerous, but you still, if you're loud, you won't get bitten. Maybe you got a couple of people bitten per year here, not a lot more.
Yeah.
Nobody dies ever. Spiders, no, none of the spiders here are even remotely too poisonous. Maybe the most danger is if you stumble upon a wild boar, you know, with kids, with little, and it can get aggressive.
Yeah, we have wild pigs
peak aggression.
They can be a problem.
Peak aggression in our country.
They're probably like the thing that like I'd be most worried about running into in the wild, because they can be a little bit unpredictable, and they charge and like.
It either turns and goes or charges you. Yeah. There's no in between. So if you find someone, you just backstep slowly and go.
Oh man, yeah. So we have like we have a lot of wildlife, but yeah, I don't know if it's yeah, mythologically though, like the local traditions and stuff like that, we do have a lot there to draw from, like the way that you can draw from your local like background and history and stuff. And the history here, like it goes back really, really far. It's just that there's no settlements like that you can really go and see, like, you know, the foundations of some massive temple or a building or something like that, because they're like was
it mostly, you know, tribes, or was it?
Well, yeah, they did build, but not the way that
it was probably more wood and materials that would would not stand the time, right?
Yeah, right. And they probably like didn't, like, they weren't building like huge stone structures or something like that typically. So and like I'm actually not sure if there was ever pottery or anything like that developed back then. So like they used like wood for like vessels and stuff like that, rather than
probably they weren't warring between themselves so much though, so they did not build any defensive structures. Like that.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of cool like religion, mythology, that kind of stuff to draw on, but not the way that you have. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm very fascinated by it. I feel like I want to ask even more about it, but I don't know what to ask, because it's just so much different to where I am.
Yeah, we got a lot of natural beauties here too. You know, caves. Our country is very small. Slovenia is very small. We got really we got so much packed into such a small ratio. You got, you know, the rivers, the deep gorges, and you got all sorts of caves. You got the karst, which is basically a very dry place with lots of caves inside, and you got the valleys with large valleys, and the Alps with the high peaks, snow. So in 2 hours you can be from, you know, snow-peaked mountain down to the sea.
That's amazing. That is like so impressive to me. Like I guess technically you could do that here too when it's in snow season, but like snow doesn't last too long where I am. we're not close. We're not far enough south really to get it, but like, and
yeah, we are mostly Mediterranean, you know.
Sorry?
We're mostly Mediterranean
yeah.
climate, so it's also snow is more. I mean, in recent years there's less and less snow in our country. It's getting hotter. I don't like that. I prefer cooler weather.
Yeah, I do prefer the cooler weather as well. So like,
I prefer to live in Scotland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I prefer more rain and more cold than so much heat and sun. We had a huge fire just last year.
Oh no!
And all around we had to evacuate the karst region, basically the hills above our valley. So much burned.
Wow.
We lost so much just because
yeah,
it was so dry for so long.
We had a few pretty bad years with fire, but things have been better the last year or two, so hopefully it continues that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's a question that we haven't even approached yet. That came up in the chat from some Sir Citizen Unknown asking, when's the game coming? I wasn't going to ask. I was going to leave you alone because I know it's not the kind of question you want to be asked a lot, but
when Dina says so, right?
Yes.
I'd love to release it
to be announced on the Steam page.
Yeah, I'd love to release it yesterday, but it's so far in development still.
Yeah,
can't say.
It's a big undertaking, and like your description of like what you're doing, like there's a hell of a lot of work to do there. And obviously,
I mean, I'm not here to live on Patreon money, stuff like that. I want to get the game done as soon as possible.
Yeah,
I'm trying to optimize. I'm trying to optimize both the development process and everything.
Speaking of Patreon, did you have goals on your Patreon?
Like, I did have.
If I make this much on Patreon, I can afford to go X days a week or something like that.
I had that, but now Patreon is removing the goals.
Oh, they're removing goals?
Yep. I just, I think a month ago I received a mail that they're removing the goals.
That sucks.
Or was it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they removed those. Once you reach this amount, then you unlock something.
See, I always liked that was one of the things I always liked about Patreon was like you could say like, oh, if I earn this many dollars per month, like if there's that much pledged, then I know I can afford to go full time. The demo was extremely well done. Yeah, I agree, Andrew. Yeah, I loved playing the demo, and I'm looking forward to like the next secret demo or the next demo release that comes out for Patreon supporters. I support Patreon.
Release.
I am as Patreon supporter. I'm not just telling people to support on Patreon because like it's a good idea for Rhuantavan. I actually want the game to get done as quickly as possible as well. So if you are keen on seeing a release date, do consider going and supporting on Patreon. Every little bit helps, and the more that there is support on Patreon, the more likely that Damian can spend a few more hours per week on the game, and that will help.
Yeah, I'll just sell the demo.
Yeah, just put the demo as the final product.
But yeah, I will probably release a new demo in a couple of months. First to Patreons, then to the rest of the world, because the current one is really outdated. You need to see the progress that's been made, which is
I'm excited to see
in my opinion.
I'm very excited to see it. It was fun finding bugs last time too, so I'm happy to provide some more bug testing.
I'll put some more bugs in just for you. So.
Yeah, we found some nice ones. We found some really fun bugs actually. Flying through the air and seeing a bird's eye view of the land and stuff was pretty cool. Are you using like landscape elevation data to generate the landscape in the game, or it's all hand sculpted?
No, it's hand built. It's I mean, it's not even sculpted. It's made by sections of terrain that you can assemble together. Basically, it's like tiles but in 3D.
Oh wow! I actually didn't pick that up when I was playing it in the demo.
Yeah, I try to hide. You perhaps see this the most if you analyze a bit the roads and the rivers. I mean, the brooks. They're not. Yeah, and the rivers.
You can kind of spot it when sections.
Okay. You can spot that it is angled always, or 45, for example, or 45 degrees, or it's straight. And I'm trying to diversify as much as possible to even remove that but you can hardly say that it is
I
unless
really
you
did
notice
not
some
pick it
theme
up.
somewhere.
I'm actually, yeah, that's impressive that you've done that. I did not pick it up, and now I'm gonna play the demo again, and I'm gonna look for it. Let's see if I can spot it.
Cool.
That's crazy.
Maybe you can. In the demo, I did not have the additional polygon data below the visible side of each section, so you could see the seam.
Okay.
Through. But I have fixed that, so perhaps now it's even harder to spot.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, and so talking about like sales and all that kind of thing, are you planning to do like go into early access at a certain point, or are you planning to just like finish the game and publish it?
I'd like to finish and publish, but I will probably go early access in the sense of for patron supporters and stuff like that. We were talking about, you know, also releasing an episodic model, so you would release a prologue, episode 1, episode 2, like that. But the problem is that I want to keep the world open, which means you need to create the whole content anyway. So just some story bits that you could not access are not the way to go. And I would not like to close the game too much.
Yeah,
it's still pretty linear. It's not like you can go over mountains anytime you wish. It's still those corridors, let's say.
Yeah. There's a cave in the demo, is that right?
That's one cave, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the prototype sort of like dungeon experience.
It's just a cave, basically. It's not even a dungeon. It's just a small natural cave that's got that something in it. Not even
if I remember correctly, there was like maybe a few bodies or something like that in there. Some torches. I can't remember all the details.
Kind of a temple inside, yeah. But it's been mostly made just for the demo, and I mean, I will have more of those, just little underground caves, natural, maybe some abandoned mines, nothing big, but there will be a couple, maybe 3 major, bigger dungeons, let's say.
Right.
I mean, I still want to keep it realistic as possible, because dungeons are a bit...
a little unrealistic, yeah.
Yeah, pretty unrealistic. Except if they are, you know, natural caves, abandoned mines.
I like the idea of like catacombs and stuff like that, like you get in France, like the underground.
That's true. I do have aqueducts here, right? You have the above ground sections with the bridges, and you got the underground sections. And yeah, you will see some of it does take you into the underground sections of aqueducts. So it's something different.
So like, I don't want you to spoil the story or anything like that, but like like the experience that you're creating for the player is like you're playing as these, basically starting off with, in the demo you've got these 2 party members, and you know, you have to pay your bill, so you end up going to get your money back. But like the world is obviously going to unfold more from there, and like there's going to be certain experience. What are you like? We talked about historic influences. Are you trying to create like something perhaps along the lines of like Kingdom Come Deliverance, where it's like very much like I'm trying to put you in the position of a person who might, like, obviously with the fantasy stuff piled on top, but like a world that kind of feels more realistic and like historic? Or is it like, obviously it's a fantasy game, so there's going to be other stuff on top, but is that the goal you're going for there? Like, is that living in this world?
Want to keep it a bit realistic, at least concise, you know, with the rules of the universe. I'm not planning to, you know, don't have any magic, don't have fantastical creatures. Everything needs to be consistent and cohesive, which to play by certain rules. So yeah, on one end, even Kingdom Come Deliverance had some fantastic elements in it, right? So which were the alchemy stuff, which is not really a thing, right?
Yeah.
It was fun. It was added for gameplay. And I'm doing the same, I guess. Plus, it's a bit more on the fantasy side. Not that much. I don't like slimes. I don't like giant spiders.
Okay.
Giant rats.
So we're not going to expect any giant spiders, giant rats. What about like ghosts or demons? Are we going to anticipate something along those lines?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I'm excited to see what you do, for sure.
if you play Darklands, the authors themselves said that it's a realistic RPG, you know, fairly realistic, but the things that people believed back then in the Middle Ages are probably real, right?
Right.
So this is what I'm trying to do too.
Okay, yeah. I love the sound of it. Like I'm.
So your fears, your beliefs are actually real, right?
Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's an arachnophobia friendly game, definitely.
Oh, good. That's very good.
Maybe, hopefully, I think so.
So there's no dungeons planned that are like super, like you're not doing like an underworld dungeon crawl in the game, but there will be
no Black Isle game.
Yeah,
nothing like that. No.
Yeah, and the combat seems very grounded. Like the magic system is something I wanted to ask about a bit because obviously being a fan of the Betrayal at Krondor magic system, like it's very easy to see the edges of that system and where the flaws sort of are in that magic system. You probably thought about it a lot. Is there something you could tell us about the planned magic system and how that's gonna, how you're addressing some of those edges?
It's a bit different at Krondor. I mean, it's still used in the same way in Krondor. It's probably got similar spells, similar uses, right? Yet I'm still planning to be able to use some of the spells outside of combat. Certain instances, for example.
Yeah, the out of combat spells in Krondor are like you can see further, or you can light.
Find secret caches. It's light spells. Traps. Yeah. Those. But yeah, I'm trying to put it a bit more lore into it, which means the spellcasting system is it bases on divine favor, which means you need to learn about a certain god. I have put 12 gods, if I remember, in the game. I may not keep all the 12. I may just keep those that are actually useful. But right now it's 12 gods in there. It's you need to know about the god. You need to visit perhaps a temple or some religious person that would tell you about the god. And after you know the god, you have to usually do some small task for that deity, so you can gain their favor.
Right.
And once you do that, you get access not to their spells, but to be able to cast spells that are linked to them. You still need to find scrolls, have people teach you, maybe find some magic books to learn spells.
Right.
So it's more phases to be able to cast a certain spell.
So you need to unlock like that school of magic.
The school of magic being the god, and gain their favor, and then you can start gathering spell scrolls, or even you can basically unlock scrolls that you have already read before, but
that's pretty cool.
Actually going to work. I've been thinking a lot about it. Maybe it's over the top. Maybe it's too much work to get the spell system going. But I will work it out in a way that it should flow naturally.
Yeah. And like the leveling system, is that going to be similar to Krondor?
That's a one-to-one copy. Yeah. It's advance your skills by use. Which is it's still the system I prefer in a way. It's not just something taken from Krondor. I don't like levels. I don't like assigning skills.
Yeah.
I think I'm not even keeping the tagging of the various skills, so they progress faster.
Right. So yeah, that's one thing that in Krondor was an interesting idea. Like I'm going to focus on this skill or whatever, but. Yeah,
it was a bit half-baked, you know. You could still, if you wanted, you could still tag this, then learn about it, then untag, tag another. It was tedious, and
it's tedious, exactly. Yeah,
you don't need that. So I'm removing stuff like that, and so this is basically what is magic: learn about the gods, gain their favor, get spells.
That's awesome. I like the sound of it. And like, will the same sort of thing be true for like perhaps combat, like advantages or something like that? Like if you encounter say a giant, for example, you like if you've learned about how to fight giants, you get like a new skill unlocked that you can use on them or something like
I
that.
did not plan anything
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
No.
Just more like
is,
in the magic system, it has that complexity. The hand-to-hand combat's going to be a bit more traditional.
Yeah, I have a couple of months ago. I have. I don't know if you know. I have changed the system of the combat to use action points basically. Which is a big improvement if you ask me. So you can move a certain amount of squares or hexes, and then you can still perform another action. It would not just terminate it like
it's very good.
Krondor.
That's like something I wanted from Betrayal at Krondor. Is like
Yeah,
I want to be able to move
Krondor
here and then do something. Like why can't I do that?
Yeah, Krondor did simplify it a lot for many people, I guess. But on the other hand, if you like turn-based combat, you expect to have action points or anything similar. It's a cool system, and you can. I just probably need to work a bit more on the how much points are spent or certain things. But I do. You also, for example, if you get hurt now, you also, for example, the movement cost gets higher because you move slower.
Makes sense.
Things like this. I just need to fine balance everything, but it's a complete overhaul of the previous combat.
So you're tweaking combat system now, and that's going to be in the next demo as well. Enter the advanced combat system. You're going to expand the demo area for the next demo?
I also released the combat demo for the Patreons a while ago.
Right.
But that's incorporated. That will be incorporated in the next demo anyway.
Yeah. I always liked looking at like the 3D art that you've done as well, like the buildings, the castles, and environments and stuff like that. They feel like kind of realistic somehow. I don't know. Like they feel like a place people live and work.
It's hard to find a balance between not adding too much, not having too much, not having too little. It's tough to modernize a Krondor, but not go over the top and have too many polys, too much detail.
Yeah.
So a lot of detail is basically it's baked into the texture, right? It's not physical 3D object. I'm adding more interaction. You can click now many things. You can inspect most of the object in the world. I'm also adding, caches. You can inspect and open and check out barrels.
Awesome.
I have added lots of this missing stuff in the game.
Yeah.
I'll probably also be adding more interaction to the world, so you can interact with more things.
Okay.
Stuff like stuff like levers. I don't want it to be too mechanic, but I'd like to be able to add more of that interactive stuff to the world, so it does not feel like static exploration like it was in Krondor.
Yeah, Krondor
the best moment in Krondor was when you found that catapult, right?
Yeah.
You remember in the Northlands?
Yeah.
You had to put something in it, and then you could actually pull, and you would see the animation of the catapult trigger very fast still, but you could.
Yeah, it's all there. Interactions are good. I like that. I like what you're saying. What you're saying there. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we I don't want to wrap up and shuffle you off or anything like that. But is there anything else you wanted to talk about that I haven't? Because I haven't really asked very pointed questions. Is there anything you wanted to surprise us with or anything like that?
I'm not sure. I think we are on a good. We covered a lot.
We have talked about a lot.
I wouldn't know where to go. We talked about combat, talked about magic, some of the inspirations.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the stuff that I learned, especially about the new magic system, where that's going. That sounds really good.
Maybe about a lot of lore has been written and the world building, and I'm having a wiki. I've been keeping it in another format amongst documents, stuff like that, but I have a private wiki now. I'm putting everything in. It feels great, so you can just click links and navigate through the world and find stuff, and you don't have to remember everything because it's getting so large.
Yeah. Is there something that people in the community can do to help you out, other than if they can't support you on Patreon for whatever reason? Is there something else they could do?
Damn, it's so hard. You know, the problem is, if we're talking, for example, with writing, you would need to. I mean, writing. No, I'm keeping that to myself in any case. But the rest, for example, 3D modeling or texturing, it's very hard to have another person put himself in your shoes and recreate stuff just like you would. Maybe you could if you would pay a professional to do it, but then it gets so expensive again.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't been able to find people that would. You know, I also have some specialized tools that I use, and I can't imagine finding someone that would help me work on things the way I did, and have it be cohesive in the game.
Yeah.
So this is the major hurdle right now.
So
I don't know. Maybe
maybe like helping with like maybe just talking about the game, I guess, is one thing that people can do. That's definitely easy enough.
Definitely,
all these kind of things.
I've been enjoying a lot of all the feedback that I received, either through Patreon or for the demo, or the comments here and there, or on anywhere. So I've been compiling all of the things that have been suggested, put into Jira. I have tasks for everything, so everything gets considered. I just want you to know that everything is considered. If it's a good idea, I try to implement it or change a system if I think it's going to improve the game. And many such suggestions and ideas have come from other people. So
yeah. There's a lot of interesting suggestions. I know I read some funny ones that a few people have put in after I played the demo. There's some people calling for magic spells that let you replicate the bugs that I found.
okay.
Which was funny because like being able to fly obviously was a really interesting perspective to take on the game, I gotta say, at the time. So
yeah, and I'd love to make a big box release once it's done. Definitely.
Oh, that was my next question. Okay. Is there plans for a physical release? You said you'd love to do one. Okay, so they're not a plan, but desire maybe.
It's not a plan because it's a bit too far off. But,
yeah.
Definitely there will be. If not, at least a very limited release that I'll be doing myself. You know, with my bare hands.
Yeah, you have to do it. Yeah, I agree with you there. That's definitely
10 copies of a very extra super limited
ultra limited edition.
But yeah,
I think if you did a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter or something, there would probably be quite a few people who'd be interested to get one.
Maybe it's a good idea, to outsource this. I mean, to have a Kickstarter or something like that.
Yeah. Because like there are probably already people who are going to buy the game when it's available that would consider like, yeah, I want a physical copy to put on my shelf and like a manual to flick through and stuff like that. So yeah, I could definitely see it.
Maps and the goodies, you know.
Maps is one of the things that I absolutely love. I love maps. Always had a fascination with them ever since I was a kid. Like, that's like fantasy novels. Opening them up and looking at the maps is like
the best.
Do, and I'm sure it's similar for you. Sounds like it is.
You're reading, and then where am I? You check them with the map, and here, right? So you can go here and here. I wonder where it's going to take me. And if it's interactive, if it's a game, you can say, "Wow, I should go there," right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like, one of the things that for me with Betrayal at Krondor was like seeing the vivid like realization of the world of Midkemia, like that, well, that's part of the world, but like seeing that and being like, oh, like this is a really like high detailed map of this area, like it looks beautiful. I always loved that. It's like,
although, yeah, you can see how they adapted it, where they cut off roads.
Yeah.
Because you would have this city there, and for example, some towns were much bigger in the books.
That's true.
Stuff like that, but still, it was a really cool map. I would really love it to be, you know, just the map without the quick guide and just something big to put
a big
on the
map,
wall.
like a cloth map would be ideal. Like I always like
because it was big like this. The original is like this, and it's a small thing. It's very detailed, but we really need a big cloth map.
Yeah. Just there was one question about a gemstone as loot. I don't know if they meant in the box or in the game, but either way, are there going to be gems?
in the current inventory slot, I mean, in the character screen, you have. I still haven't implemented those. You have separate inventories for gems and for keys.
Yeah.
But I did not implement those yet.
Okay.
Definitely, you will have big gems.
Loot tables and...
Not Cronder big, taking a quarter of the armor size, but yeah.
Yeah, it's always funny how huge those... like, they take up such a large amount in the inventory, and it's like it's worth, like, 60...
This is why I want to have a separate pouch just for the gems.
Yeah.
So you can open full size and have them there, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more realistic that way, right?
Yeah.
I think I've always liked adventure games, like mechanics that are added into RPGs, like puzzle solutions and things like that, you know, like, so they often devolve into fetch quests in RPGs if you don't do something like that. Are you planning to do
fetch quests, yeah.
Those kind of, like, obviously fetch quests are valid, they're okay, but are you planning to do those more complex sort of like just puzzle solution type things with you mentioned levers and stuff earlier?
So far I haven't thought of any such quest. I do have mostly investigative, you know, something happening, figuring out, talking to people to solve it.
And that's
but
great.
Yeah, I need to have definitely. I need to have more mechanics, heavier quests. I just haven't thought about those yet because I'm mostly working on the main storyline right now.
Of course, yeah.
The main pieces, and I'll be adding those later in. Stuff like that.
Would you say you're like 50% through the game at this point? No, not even. Yeah. Not
yet. I'm not even going to comment on that.
All right. So I won't push you on it, but I will address the chat. Everybody out there in the chat, please consider dropping a little bit of support on Patreon if you can afford it, because every little bit helps, and we want to give Rhuantavan the best chance he can have of getting his this game has to happen. It's like it's destiny. This game has to come out. So the more support that we can get out there, go to callofsaregnar.com, check it out, click on the Patreon link, and consider subscribing for a little while to help him out, get the game done. So the more support that we can get, the better.
I'll be extremely thankful, but still, don't put your life savings into it.
No, yeah,
just things you can afford.
Yeah, be reasonable. Yeah, of course.
I've been asked here. I'm seeing if you plan to do streams of development.
That was a question that I did see that too. Do you have plans to do game dev streams or like planning streams or anything like that?
I've been considering doing that so many times, but I find it hard to concentrate on doing stuff. I mean, definitely not writing. Maybe some, modeling, texturing. I could do that.
I can see that, yeah.
But still, if I worked on this full time, I'd probably find time to do it. But otherwise, it's not really feasible, I think.
I can tell you from experience, programming and streaming is a different beast. It's fun, but it's different. That's for sure. Like I find it very hard to concentrate. But on non-mental really skills, like modeling, like texturing. Yeah. Maybe, I have done drawing on stream and that kind of thing, like not serious stuff, but just like messing around with MS Paint kind of level of stuff, and that's been pretty fun. But like, I could see that translating to
but you were also coding on stream, so
yeah,
and you still managed it.
Well, I mean, I programmed a lot in the past, so like programming an engine was kind of like fun to do, so I could manage to do that on stream. But the number of times people came in and like, oh, you're doing this wrong, or you should do this, or why don't you use Unity, was the one that came up a lot. That's like literally not the point of what I'm doing, but thank you. But yeah, I would like to see some streams if you can find the time and motivation to get online and try it out. I'm happy to help you out with setting things up if you need help as well. But yeah.
Thanks. I mean, I've been thinking about it, but so far, we'll see. Maybe
it could be good to just even to like, I know maybe you want to talk to Julia Minamata. She's been on this podcast before as well. She's doing Crimson Diamond, which is a point-and-click EGA adventure
Yeah,
game.
great game. I love that game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful game. She's a wonderful artist, and she's doing a great job on the game design and
despite it being EGA, which I don't like that palette at all.
You're not a fan of the EGA?
No, I really don't.
I think she's done a wonderful job though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it looks really beautiful.
I'm not saying that.
And I am partial to the EGA aesthetic. But if you want to talk to someone about doing streaming as like part of your way to like get the word of the game out there and stuff like that, she's a wonderful person to talk to about it.
Sure, yeah, I wonder if that would help. Yeah, the hardest thing I'm finding right now, I feel like the game should be much more popular than it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard to get the word out there.
Yeah, it is hard.
And like I can play the demo again, but there's like not a ton of content in there for me to like show like what the game has to offer. So like
I understand that it's also not a very streamable game. It's you know, lots of dialogue, lots of text to read. It's hard to stream a game like this. It must be, I mean, your content must be like this. You know, it's you, it's Kilgore Trout, it's a couple of those people that I know would enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
But there is not big streamers will probably avoid it because it's so wordy and
just add some ragdoll physics and then more people will stream.
Mini games, shooting mini games, something like that. So you can shoot a bow.
No, I think you're underselling it a bit. I think that a lot of people out there would enjoy streaming a game like this. So it's just like it really is the demo is short. Like it doesn't take too long to get through it. So it's hard to promote it, stream it more because you know there's not a lot there, and once you've seen the demo once, you kind of remember most of the key points to it pretty easily. Add fishing. That's a good suggestion, MP83.
Fishing, always fishing.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I've kind of been able to ask basically everything I wanted to ask at this point. I'm really impressed. I definitely could talk more. We could dig into like the implementation side of things with like Unity, why you chose to use Unity, all those kind of things. If you want to, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that. But I'm really happy with where we got to here.
Let's keep it for another time, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
More along, and we can have more details to share.
I think we got a lot of great information here, and I think I definitely learned some stuff that I didn't know, so that's really awesome.
It was great. I loved
talking
to you and to chat.
So Osric is asking about puzzles, actually, which we touched on a bit, but we didn't go into too much depth. I know that you're replicating the puzzle box from the Moradel puzzle boxes for chests and stuff like that. You're not doing other puzzles in there, or is that?
No.
Yeah, that's the main one.
It's not Betrayal in Antara. I know that game had also Return to Krondor had different chests. But
yeah, I never.
Krondor was
Return.
Yeah,
it crashed on my
computer.
Return,
you had to inspect your different tools on different systems, and you would disarm or it would explode on you. It was okay, I guess.
Yeah,
I think I could do different types of chests, but.
It's not. I don't think it's like they're going to be the make or break feature of the game, right? Like there's a really intriguing story that's in the works. You can tell there's something going on. And yeah, I think everything that I learned today, it's only made me more excited to get into it. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was really enjoyed it a lot, really.
Yeah. Is there anything like the one place that people should go to find out more about the game to support you is Saregnar.com?
Just the website, yeah.
Yeah.
It's you got links everywhere.
And follow on Twitter, follow the game on Steam, all of those things, right?
Wishlist everywhere. You got it on GOG and on Steam. The demo is on Steam, right? Currently, right? Only.
You got the devlog on the website as well. So if people wanted to delve more into the devlog, you're linking to the Patreon. Is that right?
That's true.
So,
although the mostly tweeting stuff.
Okay.
It's Twitter.
Mostly Twitter. That's good. That's a good tip. So if you want to find the latest news, it's on Twitter.
new screenshots, stuff like that. Things that are not more in-depth shared to the patrons. I'm sharing on Twitter mostly. Although I'm not sure what's going to happen with Twitter, because I'm hearing that it could get dropped from Europe.
Really?
Due to Elon not liking some EU politics.
Oh, who knows?
Policies, I don't know. We never know. But yeah, it's the easiest platform for me to share stuff quickly. Facebook is a bit, I don't know, maybe. I'm on Facebook too, but not sharing so much. So right now, Twitter is the place to go for quick updates, I think.
All right, great to know. That's really good to know. Yeah, so if you, everybody out there, if you haven't already gone and dropped a follow on Twitter, if you haven't already gone and checked out the website, please do that. Maybe subscribe. Maybe follow on Twitch as well, because who knows, there might be a dev stream coming up in the future. I might encourage Damian to do some streaming if you all drop a follow over there. Maybe
if I get pressured enough, then I may do those too. Yeah,
a couple of hundred followers would be a bit of pressure, right? You might consider
yeah, I'm not even sure how many followers I have because I never did anything on Twitch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's it. So thank you again. Everybody say thank you in the chat for Rhuantavan coming and joining us. I really appreciate it. I'd love to have you back. Maybe when there's another milestone you hit and you want to talk about it and let people know, then we can have you come back and chat some more.
Amazing.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mike.
Thank you. All right, I'll let you go, and I'll switch back to this scene. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
All right, I will be right back, everybody. I'm just gonna grab another drink, and then we'll get on with some more gaming. Thank you very much for all being here. I appreciate it. All right.